Greetings, everybody. This is having to serve as what I rolled out earlier this week as my weekly staff meeting update. We weren't exactly able to get the logistics accomplished for doing this live, as I hope we'll be doing in the future. So we decided to do it by a video, and it'll be embedded in emails. It'll also be on YouTube. So we'll see how this works. I had asked if you had any questions or concerns or anything, but I got a few little responses that came back through your supervisors or your managers, but mainly I'm going to go over the email that I sent out earlier this week. It was a long email, I know that, but we had a lot to talk about. And I felt that it was very important to get out this information quickly. But I am going to talk about a few of the items on that email. I first want to start, though, with some positives, some success stories. We've been hearing such amazing things from patients that I want to share with you. Of course, there's HIPAA, so I can't share any big specific information. But patients are letting us know that if they have a problem, if they, for instance, have tested positive or anything, we aren't just abandoning them. We are turning loose all of our resources in terms of care management and nursing. And the follow-up is really making a difference with patients. They feel as if someone, and it's us, really cares about them. That's who we are. That's who we are all about. I'm about to pause for a second because my puppy is demanding to be picked up, and here he is. So I now have my puppy called Samson, my Yorkie, in my lap, and hopefully he won't be too interruptive. That's what happens when you work from home. You've got all your pups and your kitty cats and everything else that will part of your attention. So these success stories, as I was saying, are very heartwarming, and they really reinforce who we are and how we're different, and the difference that manifests itself not just in calls, but making sure these people have food, have things they need, have their medications and so forth. So good job, folks. We also have a huge success story. Many of y'all may be aware of our partnership with Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight has a huge distribution center over in Dillon, and they're part of that big inland port effort over there. And in that distribution center, I think they have hundreds and hundreds of folks working, but they had contacted us and wanted to know if we could help them in testing their employees. They had not been able to work out testing with any other healthcare provider in the area, and had turned to us. And we were delighted to be able to meet their needs. We've done several testing events now with them. I think we've done some both on site and maybe off site. I'm not real sure about that. But so much so that it caught the attention of their president, the one that's all the way over in California. And he and I and Mark Zabisky at Care First Carolina had a Zoom meeting one evening because it's California time. And they want to go beyond just being a token partner with Care South Carolina. They were so impressed by what y'all did and how quickly we did it and how compassionately we responded to their need. I expect that we'll have some very good financial relationships with them in the future. They pretty much committed to that. So that's an amazing success story, and it's because you care. It's because that you mobilized, you got together all of the resources, the staff needs and so forth, around what it would take to accomplish that testing. So these are amazing success stories. We had a board meeting last night. It's our regularly scheduled board meeting, but we're doing it in a new way. We, of course, are doing it with social distancing in place, and we're having to do it by conference call. All of our board members were able to be present except for one, and that was Representative Hennigan, who's got her hands full, as we know right now. But we had a wonderful turnout and some wonderful conversations. But the board explicitly wanted me to communicate to everyone on staff at CareSouth how much they appreciate and understand and know what you're doing, that you are truly the essence of who we are, whether you're on the direct line or whether you're behind the scenes, even at home, making sure that the wheels and the business of CareSouth continues. They are so impressed. Our board chair has actually been in attendance at our morning 7:30 a.m. task force meeting, so he hears the reality of how this work is getting done. He shared it with the board also, and they really provide you their heartfelt appreciation and their impressive understanding of what you've been able to do. So I want to make sure that I communicated that to everyone from the board of directors. News of the week really is kind of summarized in that email that I sent out earlier, but there are a few additional things I want to touch base on. We have enrolled out employee testing. I've already heard that many of y'all have asked to be testing, and if we haven't already done it, we're gearing up for it. We are not requiring that you have any symptoms or anything like that, and the testing is available whether you are on site or whether you are social distancing and working from home, or just what would I want to say, or just stuck at home. Maybe that's a better word. Right on the heels of employee testing, we're going to be rolling out drive-up testing available to the community. Now, notice I said to the community, not just to our patients. This is a different model, and we've really been working behind the scenes to get this ready. Many of y'all have already seen that in some cases we're installing these little exterior buildings. They almost look like a little storage shed, so that our mission of keeping the patients safe and you safe can best be accomplished by making sure we do it perhaps in an exterior location. So we're beginning to roll that out. We're going to test some of this the first of the week in some locations and see how it works and see how it is managed. There are two things that I also want you to know, in addition to that we are testing whether you have symptoms or not. But I want you also to know that whether it's a patient or you, that there is no cost to anyone for this testing. The feds, HRSA, has made absolutely certain that we have the ability to do this. And they have stressed and impressed it upon us that in this endeavor to really expand testing to identify those that might be even asymptomatic, not have symptoms, that we can alert them to this and they can begin in some quarantine capacities. That this not be a cost barrier to individuals. So testing, whether to you as an employee or as a patient or just in the community in general, will be at no cost. I want to make sure that folks really understand that, because I think in some other drive-up testing scenarios that you may have been hearing or familiar with earlier in the community, not from us, but maybe from some other entities, that there might have been some issues around cost or what have you. There were also, over the past week, some questions from staff about PPE, personal protective equipment. So much so that we developed a written guideline for this. It's posted along with a training on Relias. I'm not going to go into it in detail because I know I'll mess it up. But for those of you that are in an environment with direct clinical care, that PPE is adopted from the CDC guidelines. We have made sure that it is as up to date and as relevant as possible. You know, there's still a PPE shortage out there. We are behind on some of our orders getting filled. But we are pretty fortunate. We have been very conservative about PPE, and we have had very few, if any, incidences where we've literally run out. But we need to continue to be conservative, not denying PPE, but just be mindful and conservative. So pay attention to that guideline. Go back and review it. There's also a guideline that we rolled out last week around return to work if you have been quarantined for any reason. Please read that carefully. I'm not, once again, going to go into the weeds on that because I need to depend on clinical folks and HR folks to make sure that all the I's are dotted in that and the T's crossed. But there is one thing that I can say to staff who have been quarantined around a possible exposure, symptoms, or etc., is that you will be paid during quarantine. So that's real important. We may have to go back and fix some things. We understand that in the past there might have been some confusion on this, but we're going to fix it. Give us some time. So if we may have to restore some vacation or sick leave that was used in the event that an employee had to be quarantined. So this is a very fluid situation. We've had to pretty much learn as we go. Sometimes we've had to change what we originally thought we were doing correctly and adopt a new and a better guideline or a better protocol. Hang with us. It's not going to be perfect. We are very steadfastly going to continue to be conservative, though. We know that there has been a loosening of restrictions. I can't be in denial and say that we aren't concerned about it. We are concerned about it. Our task force has expressed concerns. So let me appeal to everyone. Even though restrictions may have been lifted, please be most cautious. Be mindful of social distancing. Be mindful of wearing your mask when you're in public, if you choose to be in public. Be very careful about potential exposures. Continue to wash your hands excessively. We know how difficult that has been for everyone. The one thing that we are most concerned about is what can happen as we progress into June and maybe even later. We don't want to see a peak again. Whether or not we've even reached the peak in our area, with the data hasn't told us anything conclusively yet. So please, we appeal to you, be cautious, be conservative. And like I close all of my emails, blessings on all of you. Be safe, stay well, and remember, we are and we will continue to be Care South Carolina strong. Have a good week. I'll be back in touch with you next Friday, as I promised, one way or the other, either by a live conversation or a video. Take care. Bye-bye.